Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. We know it's been a while, but we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, following the horrific death of George Floyd a couple of months ago. It's kind of, sparked a global kind of response, and everyone's now talking about it. And even within our household, we've been really engaging in some of these discussions.
And I think because we are an interracial couple, race is, I guess, a big thing to us. Like, we deal with racial issues like every day.
Every day, it's high on the agenda.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we have been doing like a lot behind the scenes, a lot of discussions, a lot of things in terms of trying to help the narrative when it comes to anti-blackness.
Yeah. And as some of you may know as well, recently the BBC ran a piece as well about anti-blackness in the South Asian community. And I think what's really happened, and what's really evident for us in the last couple of months, is the conversations within our household have been very eye-opening and interesting to understand people's perspective. And I think that kind of built me up into a place where I could talk about the anti-blackness within the South Asian community, because it gave me a bit more kind of
perspective.
It just gave me other people's perspective and allowed me to speak from a place of honesty and transparency. So yeah, it was really difficult, but I think there were much needed conversations. Definitely it's needed to kind of just show that this isn't a black versus white issue. This isn't a America issue. This is a global issue that needs to be addressed. We know that even within certain countries, racism is a massive issue, i.e. India, because of the caste system and how it's kind of been altered, or people have had their own spin on it throughout the years. So throughout the generation, not throughout the years, but throughout the generation. So such important conversations that need to be had. We've stayed silent on the topic for a while, not because, how do I even... It's almost like I wanted to take it all in before I spoke out about it. Yeah. If that makes sense.
So but to be honest, if you guys follow us on Instagram, you'll see that we have been, I guess, speaking on there and stuff. But when it comes to talking about race and racism in general, we have taken the approach that we want to think before we speak, because one thing that we do not want is us to speak out in our anger or respond in anger and then fuel another kind of hate or another kind of racism. So our point is that anti-blackness is a big issue, and it, like Amit said, it comes from so many different angles that, I think a lot of the time people do just think it's just white people that don't like black people. And I don't mean to generalize, but that is what people say. But it's so much deeper than that. There's so much more to it than that. So when it does come to speaking about it, our approach is that we would like to speak from our own perspectives, but with honesty and with wisdom as well. So it's not that, I do not want it to be a thing where my kids grow up not liking their Asian side because they think, they gave mummy a hard time when mummy and daddy were trying to get married. That is not the point of it. No. What we want to do, what our aim and our purpose is to bring cultural cohesion and just get people, I guess, just to rally together, because all these things are things that we've been taught. We've been taught how to hate or how to be biased or how to
perceive
be prejudiced.
A certain race.
We've been taught all these things, and we can also unlearn them. So just helping our generation to be able to speak positively about race, speak about race in the right way, in the right settings, and just breaking all the stereotypes that there are out there. Because I think that's the only way that we have managed to, I guess, flourish in our relationship, by breaking all those stereotypes.
Yeah, and it's so true. And it's also about being sincere. I've seen a lot of, when the horrific incident happened, I saw a lot of celebrities or people take to social media to kind of make comments or release press statements about their views or what their stance was. And some people, it didn't come from a place of sincerity.
Yeah, it was more just it's PR.
It was just PR. They were just kind of going along with the flow. And you also notice that some celebrities or some people got it so wrong in their approach on how they kind of addressed it. And for me, it was there's no point following the bars, or no point kind of just doing it because everyone else is doing it. You need to understand what your stance is, what your views are, before, and just gather your thoughts before you really put yourself out there. So I know for me, for example, it really took a while to kind of collate all my thoughts and all my ideas. And one of like the most evident things I saw was like people within my wider network who had a particular issue with me marrying someone of a different race were now posting about Black Lives Matter and racism needs to end, and all these sorts of things. And for me, deep down, I was just thinking, wow, like, does that person truly believe, in what they're saying?
Because it's one thing, I guess, to say, oh yeah, I'm not racist, I don't believe in it, but what happens when it's on your doorstep? What happens when your child says, I want to marry a black person, or my best friend is black, or like when these things are on your doorstep, what are you saying? 100%. That is when we will truly know what you believe. 100%. So I think we're not interested in the blanket statements. We're not interested in doing what it seems to be right. Yeah. What are you thinking in your heart, in your mind? Are you truly in support of seeing a fellow black person promoted, or seeing them succeed in any kind of way? Because racism takes different forms. It's not always a policeman killing a black man on the street. In the UK, it is the fact that a lot of black people aren't offered the same opportunities that white people or people of other races are offered. It can be like writing someone off before they're able to start something, or just 100%. Not trusting them because you think they're black. I'm not sure really what they're about, or definitely. I've seen this thing about them in the media, or maybe they're violent, maybe like all these little things are subtle glances at what racism looks like. So you don't necessarily have to be out on the street and say kill black people to be racist or to have racist views.
And also your approach in terms of when there are racist comments or racial slurs made within your like friend circle or within your family groups, it's all about what is your response to it. Are you just kind of facilitating it and just going with the flow and laughing it off as it's just a casual joke, and brushing it under the carpet? Or actually, are you pulling out your family members and saying, oh, you know what, that's not really nice, like that's where these problems stem from because people have these kind of views and they pass these kind of comments in passing, and then these things kind of build up and just like spiral out of control really. So for me especially, it's more like what people's approach is as well, within those kind of communities of friendship groups or even at work, right? Like how, like, are you willing to speak up for your fellow colleague who's not being given opportunities or being bombarded with work because like they're being set deadlines that aren't achievable because at the end of the day the work or their manager doesn't want to see that particular person progress. So just things like that really.
So I feel like there's so many different angles to look at this from, and so many different ways in which each and every person can make an impact, I guess, in their own little bubble to help stop that cycle. I know a lot of people are like, oh, is there any real point? It's been going on for so long, so what am I going to change? But it is about what you're teaching the next generation, what you're teaching your kids or your nephews. If you don't have kids, your friends, like what the next generation is seeing is what they will know. So we can all, I guess, have an impact in what we're doing, even in schools. What is being taught in schools? Is there an environment where people are able to mix with other cultures? I know we are a multicultural society, but are we actually integrated and doing things together? Where it's not, where it's just the clique of black people in the school, the clique of the Asians, or the clique of the white people in the school. Like, how mixed are we? And for me, that is why I am so grateful for the fact that we met in school and our teacher put us next to each other, because otherwise I probably would have never actually spoken to an Indian person.
It's true.
I wouldn't have known anything about them apart from the fact that maybe they don't like black people. So I think those little things do help in terms of opening up our society and making it more integrated. And just to touch on like what Michelle was saying about like diversity and people feeling included and creating like an inclusive environment, I think one thing that people say is like, oh, London's so multicultural, so many people of different race, different religion, different culture, different ethnicity. And it's true, it's so true. But actually, when you look at it and think, okay, how integrated is the society in terms of Asian people mixing with black people, or vice versa, just various communities coming together and actually collaborating to achieve like a common goal. And when you look at it, it's actually not that many. Like, I can't automatically think of
like an Asian person and a white person that's gone into business together, or an Asian person and a black person that's started a business together. I'm not to say that it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying it's not like, we still don't think it's a common thing because we don't hear enough of it. And that for me just highlights, actually, although yes, we have a diverse population in London, we're not actually that inclusive, because people are still living in silos and doing their own things within their community, and collaborating as like a community to rise the community, but actually not much cross collaboration across multiple like races and ethnicities.
And we're not saying that there's anything wrong with, I guess, it's sticking with the people that you know, or wanting to just be, I guess you do what's comfortable, right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that, but there is something wrong with not doing something and assuming that you do know. So when I say that, I mean you might decide, well, I'm not going to talk to a black person because I think they are like this.
Yeah.
You're making that assumption and it's stopping you from doing something.
Absolutely.
That is where I think it's wrong. That's where we need to kind of like draw the line, where it's like, don't assume. I think get to know people and then make your judgments after, or whatever, like any other person in the world. But don't assume that, I guess, everything you see on TV. Cause I think a lot of the conversations that we've had at home, it was based on the fact that a lot of Indian people, Asian people hadn't actually met a black person before, so it's just based on what they see, and what they see isn't always depicted in the best light, so they just run away with that and think, yeah, I know you guys are all like that, I'm going to tarnish you all with the same brush. Where it's like, if you have those individual relationships, get to know people, your mindset will be changed, and you'll realize, well, they're a person like just like every other person. It's not, your race doesn't define whether or not you're a good or bad person.
So another thing I actually want to touch on is like how deep racism runs in certain countries, and me being Indian, I can relate to India the most, and I think I understand it the most as well. In terms of, there are certain industries within India where it's evident, right? So cosmetics is a big one. So ads, brands out there are running ads to kind of say, use our skincare products because our skincare products enhance your skin color. There's this perception that,
no, it doesn't say enhance your skin color, it makes you fairer.
It makes you fairer. They lighten your skin color. All built around this perception that the lighter the better, and they actually run adverts where it'll be like, oh, the daughter in the house has a guy who's coming to see her because they want to get married, and she's like, you know, upset that the guy won't like her because she's of a dark complexion, and her mum hands her some cream and is like, oh, use this for the next couple of days and you'll lighten your skin and he'll think you're fair and beautiful and lovely and will want to marry you. And that is just wrong on so many levels. And for me, it frustrates me that in the 21st century, it's okay for brands to exploit like a deep-rooted problem in India for monetary gain. That's all they're doing. They're taking something that they know is so wrong, but they're just flipping it and saying, well, if this is what you guys believe, we're going to sell you products that will make you think that this is what happens, and we'll just take your money. Literally. And these are big multinational companies that are doing it. Another, oh yeah, go on, sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to say another industry is Bollywood. Bollywood is known that actually, in order to make it big and to have a big career break in Bollywood and to give yourself like the best platform possible, you need to be of a fair complexion. That's like a given. So people who from a young age want to be actors and actresses bleach their skin to make sure that they put themselves in the best possible place to get to land those big roles. And it's widely spoken about that actresses now who have actually retired or coming towards the end of their career have openly said that, yeah, I bleached my skin in order to land certain big roles, or I was expected to bleach my skin in order to secure the role, because that's what's depicted as beautiful and that's what they want to show in their movies.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say, so I had, after like the conversations we've had at home with my family, like decided to research into it, like where maybe we thought it might have come from. And I actually looked into the caste system, because I think even me, I always assumed that it was embedded in the caste system, like race, but it's actually, when you read about the proper history of it, there's nothing in the caste system about race. It was four categories or groups, and it was literally just based on your profession. So if you were a priest, you were essentially at the top, and if you were like a cleaner or a labourer or something, you were at the bottom of the caste system, and that was it. And it's literally just been over the years where man has just decided to add what they think, I guess, to place themselves in a hierarchy or to look down on certain people. And I think a lot of it did come from when
the British were in rule.
The British were in rule and were in colonies and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because you were, your, I guess, mindsets were flipped to think, well, these people that are fairer than us are in power. Yeah. I want to aspire to be like them, or do you know what I mean? Or they made it a thing where it's like, let's make it so the dark people are disrespected, or they're not looked on in the best light. And I think even when I read into Hinduism, just because I know that your family is predominantly Hindu, or it's a big religion in India, a lot of the gods were, well, quite a few of the gods were depicted as dark and beautiful. Yeah, 100%. So back in the day, it was a thing where being dark was like, that's what you wanted to be. So that's why I'm saying there must have been a time where it's literally like shifted because of what someone was told or what someone was taught, because it wasn't always like that. So I think one thing that I have taken away from this is that it would be good if everyone can just read into, I guess, the different beliefs or values that you have. And it doesn't just apply to racial beliefs, but anything that you think you are taught in life, research it so that you know for yourself why you believe that, before you hand it down to somebody else blindly. And they then live their lives based on that. Find out, why do we believe that? Is this the right thing? Do I want to drop it? Do I want to take it? If it has no substance to it, leave it behind, because there's no reason to oppress people for it. And it's sad because it's not even just like, it's not, I guess it's anti-blackness in the South Asian community is a big deal, but it's also colorism is a big deal in the Asian community, whereas you're oppressing your own people that are darker than you. Yeah. I just don't get it. Like, why should that be the way that we live our lives? So I think something does need to be done. And I think this has just sparked a revolution.
I hope so. I hope so. Like, you know, at the end of the day, talk is great, conversation is great, but there needs to be like corresponding action on the back of it. Like the world is talking about this issue, but actually how can we drive positive change and change the narrative? So for me, it's just like, I'm really keen and eager to get change going and see actual tangible results. I'm not saying we're going to change the whole world in one day or in one night, but actually we should hopefully start seeing small, subtle changes that actually shows as a community, as a generation, as a population, we're more integrated, we're more accepting, we're more embracing of one another. And I guess that's where this brand equality,
we noticed our t-shirts
that we created, that we've been working on in the background as well, kind of comes into it. So one of the things I think I touched on earlier was that a lot of people feel that they know what's happening in the world is wrong, they absolutely don't stand by it, but sometimes you just can't bring yourself to articulate yourself, and you know, you don't know what to say, or you're scared of saying the wrong thing, so you remain silent. And we live in an era where actually silence is your silence is questioned, because it's sometimes
complicit to what's going on. Complicit,
so it's like, oh, you haven't spoken about it, oh, does that mean you support it, or you don't know if you support it, or you're sitting on the fence? But actually the truth is, I don't support it, but I just don't know what to say. Like, I just can't pour my heart out into a paragraph or into a tweet to be able to articulate myself well, with the fear that people might jump onto me if I do say something wrong, or if I come across as I didn't intend to. So equality is all about kind of, you know, showing your support for racial equality, being an ally for racial equality, and really fighting for and campaigning against racial injustice around the world.
Yeah, and 25% of all the proceeds are going to be going to different charities that are pushing forward racial equality. But our chosen one at the moment is BLAM UK, which basically they go into schools and run workshops just on Black history and just empowering Black people to know that our history isn't just about slavery, but there are so many different faces in history that we do not know about right now that would be good to see, because it's not always in your curriculum. You only see one side. So it's just about, I guess, levelling the stories that we hear and the narratives that we hear. And so that's who we've chosen for now. And then we're just going to try and do loads of different ones just to help, I guess, further the work and just get more people talking about race.
it. And so the t-shirts are now available on our website. The links will be below. So www.indiameetsghana.com. On there's a shop equality collection. You'll see it on there. So please.
And there's some for kids too.
Yeah, kids range too as well. So please feel free to go in, support. International shipping available as well. So yeah, would love for you guys to support. And as I said, we just want to give people, you know, the ability to showcase their support and their allyship with their fellow colleagues, whether it be their schoolmates, their classmates, whoever it would be. You know, just show that you're standing with them through what we're going through in terms of racial inequality around the world, and we are all campaigning for racial equality.
Yeah, because I guess when it comes from me and Amit, I don't know, I guess the fight for black equality is predominantly mine because I'm black, but Amit can still be an ally in that because I guess he has to fight with me every day because our kids are now also black. Like, and it's not even just that. You don't necessarily have to be married to someone to think that, but I guess it's just having someone, just knowing that you've got someone's back is the whole point, is that I'm in this fight with you because you are my fellow human. And
even just to like wrap up, like so many people ask us, oh, you know, like what can we do? How can we drive this agenda forward? How can we support? And it's simply, as Michelle said, like speak to your friends, speak to your colleagues, like speak to your families.
Educate yourself.
People that are going through this, like just offer yourself to like support them in any which way possible. Sometimes people just want an outlet, someone that you can speak to, someone that you can offload on. Like, be that person. Don't be that person that when someone tells you, oh, I experienced X, Y, and Z, and you just be like, oh, you're reading too much into it. It's not racism. You're too sensitive. Oh, you know, you're taking it too personally. You didn't mean it like that.
And it's very easy to take that stance when it's not you that's been going through it for ages.
Definitely. So. And I think that's one big thing that I've seen in the corporate space, that people are now a lot more switched on about these conversations. It's not just playing it down or being like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll see what we can do. They're a lot more conscious about the how deep rooted the issue is.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, sorry it was a heavy one for today.
Emotionally heavy one, but it was needed.
It has been on our hearts, and we do just want to impact a change, and we don't want people to forget about this movement, because I feel like it is dying down, but we still do need to be talking about it. We still need to be doing something about it and see a change.
Absolutely, 100%.
So thanks guys.
Don't forget to go grab your t-shirts.
www.indianmusicanada.com/equality. I think that is what it is. Yes, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.